Sarah Chen had been invisible for 7 years, just another military police officer at Fort Carson walking patrol routes and checking security. When a sniper targeted General Morrison from 1,500 meters away, Sarah faced a choice: maintain her cover or take the shot that would reveal she was once the Army's most classified counter-sniper specialist. Welcome to Hidden Legends. Before we begin this powerful story of courage, skill, and forgotten heroism, tell me in the comments where you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this need to be heard, hit that subscribe button and help us make sure they are. Fort Carson sprawled across the Colorado landscape like a small city, home to thousands of soldiers and their families. Among them, Staff Sergeant Sarah Chen walked her daily patrol routes with the unremarkable efficiency that defined military police work. At 34 years old, Sarah had perfected the art of being professionally invisible. She arrived at 0630 each morning, checked the duty roster, and began her assigned routes through the base housing areas, administrative buildings, and training facilities. Her duties were standard: verify security protocols, check identification at checkpoints, respond to minor incidents, and file detailed reports. For 7 years, Sarah had maintained this routine without drawing attention. Her personnel file was clean: Military Police Corps, excellent evaluations, no disciplinary issues. She was the kind of NCO that commanders appreciated: reliable, competent, and requiring minimal supervision. Her fellow MPs respected her professionalism, but found her somewhat distant. Sarah didn't join them for drinks after duty, rarely shared personal stories, and declined most social invitations. She was friendly but not close, helpful but not intimate. This careful distance was necessary for reasons they couldn't understand. What her colleagues didn't know was that Sarah Chen's real name wasn't Chen. It was Lieutenant Sarah Vance, former counter-sniper specialist with the 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta. She had been declared killed in action 3 years ago during Operation Silent Watch in Syria, her death carefully orchestrated to protect a mission that had gone catastrophically wrong. Tuesday morning brought unusual activity to Fort Carson. General James Morrison, a 4-star general overseeing special operations training, was conducting a surprise inspection of the base's security protocols. His visit was classified until the last moment, known only to essential personnel. Sarah received her briefing at 0600 from Sergeant Major Williams: heightened security posture, extended patrol routes, and special attention to potential threats. The general would be reviewing training exercises from the observation platform at 1400 hours. "Chen, you'll take the outer perimeter," Williams instructed. "Make sure the tree line stays clear of civilians. General Morrison doesn't like surprises." Sarah nodded, accepting the assignment that would position her on the edge of the base's secure area. As she prepared her equipment, radio, sidearm, binoculars, she felt a familiar tension. VIP visits always triggered memories she'd spent 7 years trying to suppress. The morning patrol was routine until Sarah reached the observation tower area. Something felt wrong. As a counter-sniper specialist, she'd been trained to identify threats that conventional security measures missed. Her eyes automatically scanned the distant tree line, checking sight lines and potential concealment positions. That's when she saw it: a barely perceptible glint of reflected sunlight from approximately 1,500 meters northeast of the observation platform. Most people would have dismissed it as nothing, but Sarah's training recognized it immediately: scope reflection from a sniper rifle. Sarah's blood ran cold as she focused her binoculars on the distant position. Through the magnification, she could make out the outline of a prone figure partially concealed behind fallen logs and natural vegetation. Professional positioning, excellent concealment, perfect sightline to the reviewing stand where General Morrison would be standing in 4 hours. This wasn't a casual threat or random violence. Someone had conducted detailed reconnaissance, identified the general's schedule, and positioned themselves with military precision. The range was approximately 1,500 meters, a difficult shot for most marksmen, but well within the capability of a trained sniper. Sarah's mind raced through the protocols: radio for backup, alert the command post, initiate lockdown procedures. But she also knew that by the time conventional security responded, the sniper could relocate or abandon the mission. Worse, they might have backup positions or escape routes that hadn't been identified. She keyed her radio carefully. "Base Control, this is Unit 7. I need to speak with Sergeant Major Williams immediately. Priority traffic." "Unit 7, Williams here. What's your status?" "Sergeant Major, I need you to discreetly verify the General's exact position and timing for this afternoon's observation, and I need you to trust me on something unusual." There was a pause. "Chen, what are you seeing out there?" "Something that requires immediate action but can't go over the radio. I'm moving to the tower. Have the duty officer meet me there in 10 minutes. Captain Rodriguez, the duty officer, found Sarah in the observation tower checking the emergency weapons locker. Her behavior was calm, but focused in a way that suggested more than routine security concerns. "Sergeant Chen, Sergeant Major Williams says you've identified a potential threat. What's the situation?" Sarah handed him the binoculars and pointed toward the distant tree line. "Approximately 1,500 meters northeast. Look for the area where the fallen trees create natural concealment." Rodriguez studied the area for several minutes before lowering the binoculars with a troubled expression. "I can't see anything definitive, but there's something that doesn't look right." "What makes you so certain?" "Sir, I need to ask you to trust my assessment. There's a sniper in that position with a clear shot at the observation platform. Conventional response will take too long, and we risk losing the target if we delay." "Sergeant, how can you be so sure, and why haven't you called for backup?" Sarah faced a moment that would either preserve her 7-year cover or expose everything she'd hidden. She looked directly at Captain Rodriguez and made her choice. "Sir, because I recognize professional sniper positioning when I see it, and because I'm qualified to neutralize this threat immediately." Rodriguez stared at her. "Chen, you're military police. You're not trained for—" "Captain, with respect, I'm trained for exactly this, but if I take the action required, it's going to raise questions that I'm not authorized to answer. I need you to make a command decision right now." Captain Rodriguez studied Sarah's expression and saw something that hadn't been there before, a calm competence that spoke of experience beyond military police training. Her request was unprecedented, but the certainty in her voice was absolute. "Sergeant Chen, are you telling me you have sniper training?" "Sir, I'm telling you I can neutralize this threat with one shot from this position, but you need to authorize it, because everything changes after I pull that trigger." Rodriguez weighed his options. Standard protocol demanded he call for specialized support, but that would take at least 30 minutes. If Sarah was wrong, he'd face an inquiry for authorizing unnecessary action. If she was right and he delayed, a 4-star general might die. "What do you need?" "The M24 rifle from the emergency locker, a spotter to confirm range and wind, and official authorization to engage a hostile target." Rodriguez unlocked the weapons locker and removed the M24 sniper rifle. As Sarah accepted the weapon, her entire demeanor shifted. She handled the rifle with the fluid expertise of someone who had used this exact model hundreds of times. "Range 1,527 meters, when northeast at approximately 8 knots, she said, making rapid calculations. "I need you to radio Sergeant Major Williams and have him delay the General's arrival by 15 minutes. And Captain, after this shot, I'm going to need to speak with your commanding officer." Sarah positioned herself at the tower's firing position and began the methodical process that had once made her one of the Army's most effective counter-snipers. She adjusted the rifle's scope for range and windage, controlled her breathing, and settled into the familiar rhythm of precision shooting. Through the scope, the distant target became clear. A male figure in camouflaged clothing, positioned behind a customized rifle with professional-grade optics. This wasn't an amateur or opportunistic threat. This was a trained sniper with military-quality equipment. "Captain, can you confirm the target through your binoculars?" Rodriguez focused on the area where Sarah had aimed. "I can see movement, but I can't make out details at this range." "That's confirmation enough, taking the shot on your authority." Sarah settled deeper into her shooting position, finding the natural point of aim that eliminated muscle tension. Her breathing slowed, her heart rate decreased, and the world narrowed to the precise calculations of trajectory, wind drift, and target movement. The M24 recoiled against her shoulder with familiar authority. Through the scope, Sarah watched as the distant figure suddenly went limp and motionless. At 1,527 meters, her bullet had found its target with lethal precision. "Target neutralized," she reported calmly. "I recommend immediate deployment of a security team to confirm and secure the area." Captain Rodriguez stared at her in amazement. "Sergeant Chen, who the hell are you?" Within 2 hours, Fort Carson's command structure had been turned upside down. The security team had confirmed Sarah's shot, a dead sniper with professional equipment and detailed reconnaissance notes about General Morrison's visit. But the questions about how a military police sergeant had made an impossible shot were just beginning. Sarah sat in Colonel Harrison's office, still in her MP uniform, but no longer pretending to be just another base security officer. Captain Rodriguez and Sergeant Major Williams flanked the colonel's desk, waiting for explanations. "Sergeant Chen," Colonel Harrison began, "the deceased individual has been identified as Viktor Petrov, a former Russian Spetsnaz operator with known ties to terrorist organizations. His equipment included a customized rifle capable of precision fire at extreme range. You saved General Morrison's life with a shot that most trained snipers couldn't make." Sarah nodded, but remained silent. "What I need to understand is how a military police NCO acquired the skills to identify and neutralize this threat. Your personnel file makes no mention of sniper training." Sarah looked directly at the colonel. "Sir, my personnel file is incomplete. My actual training is classified above your current authorization level." "Sergeant, I hold a top-secret clearance with special access programs. Try me." "Colonel, I need to speak with someone who has access to Operation Silent Watch, Syrian Theater, 2021. My real name is Lieutenant Sarah Vance, and according to official records, I died 3 years ago. The secure communication with Special Operations Command took 6 hours to arrange. When it finally came through, Colonel Harrison found himself speaking with General Patricia Matthews, Deputy Commander of Joint Special Operations Command. "Colonel Harrison, you're calling about the incident at Fort Carson involving one of your MPs?" "General, we have an NCO named Sarah Chen who just prevented an assassination attempt against General Morrison. She claims to be Lieutenant Sarah Vance from Operation Silent Watch." There was a long pause. "Colonel, I'm going to need you to clear your office except for the individual in question. This conversation is now classified at the highest levels." When they were alone, General Matthews addressed Sarah directly through the secure video link. "Lieutenant Vance, you were supposed to remain in deep cover indefinitely." "General, the cover was maintained until it became necessary to save a 4-star general's life. My position may be compromised, but the mission was successful." "Explain the situation." Sarah gave a precise briefing: the threat identification, her tactical assessment, and the neutralization of the sniper. Her report was delivered with the professional competence of someone accustomed to classified operations. "Lieutenant, your cover identity as Sarah Chen was meant to last until we could determine who compromised Silent Watch. Have you identified any security breaches at Fort Carson?" "Negative, General. Today's incident appears unrelated to Silent Watch. Different threat profile, different operational signature." General Matthews studied Sarah through the video connection. "Lieutenant Vance, you've maintained operational security for 3 years while providing valuable intelligence from your position. Today's action may have compromised that cover." "Understood, General. I'm offering you a choice. Return to deep cover as Sarah Chen, military police, with an official commendation for exceptional service. Or return to active duty with Special Operations Command for reassignment to counter-sniper operations." Sarah considered the options. For 3 years, she'd lived a carefully constructed lie, maintaining distance from colleagues who deserved better than deception. But she'd also found an unexpected peace in the routine of military police work. "General, what's the status of the investigation into Silent Watch?" "Ongoing. We've identified several suspects, but no definitive proof of who betrayed your unit. Then I request permission to maintain my current cover while providing consultation on counter-sniper operations when needed. Sarah Chen can be a valuable asset in both capacities. Colonel Harrison, who had been listening in stunned silence, finally spoke. General, if I may, Sergeant Chen has been an exemplary MP for 7 years. If she's willing to continue in that capacity, I'd like to keep her at Fort Carson. General Matthews smiled slightly. Lieutenant Vance, you've impressed a base commander who doesn't even know your real story. Very well. Maintain your cover as Sarah Chen, but be prepared for special assignments when your unique skills are required. The following week, Fort Carson returned to normal operations with one exception. The base's security protocols had been quietly upgraded based on recommendations from an anonymous expert consultant. Sarah Chen resumed her daily patrols, but now her fellow MPs treated her with a new level of respect. Captain Rodriguez approached her during a routine patrol. Sergeant Chen, I wanted to thank you for what you did, and to ask, is there anything else about you that I should know? Sarah smiled, the first genuine smile her colleagues had seen from her in 7 years. Captain, I'm exactly who I've always been. I just had to remember that sometimes being a good soldier means using all your training, not just the part that's in your current job description. Fair enough. But Chen, next time you spot a threat at 1,500 meters, maybe give me a heads up before you start making impossible shots. Roger that, sir. As Sarah continued her patrol, she realized that for the first time in 7 years, she felt truly integrated into her unit. The secret that had isolated her was now shared, at least partially, with people who understood the weight of protecting others. Some warriors serve in the shadows, their greatest victories invisible to those they protect. Sarah Chen had spent 7 years walking patrol routes and checking IDs, but when the moment demanded it, she became what she'd always been, a guardian whose skills were measured not in reports filed or tickets written, but in lives saved from threats that never materialized because she'd eliminated them first. The perfect shot at 1,527 meters hadn't just saved a general's life. It had reminded Sarah that serving others in whatever capacity was always worth maintaining the cover that kept both her mission and her unit safe. So now I ask you, have you ever met someone who seemed ordinary but carried extraordinary skills? Someone who served quietly until the moment demanded they reveal their true capabilities? Share their story in the comments, because at Hidden Legends, we believe the greatest warriors often fight their most important battles, not with recognition, but with the quiet determination to protect others regardless of the cost. If this story moved you, subscribe and help us honor those who serve in silence, hidden among us, until the moment their skills mean the difference between tragedy and safety. We'll see you in the next one.